A warm good morning to one and all. On behalf of Gujarat Research Society's Hansraj Jeevan Das College of Education, our principal, Dr. Anita Swami, and entire HJCE family, I extend a very warm welcome to all the participants who have joined us today to this third session of 7 days faculty development program on designing assessment in online and blended environment, organized by IQAC Hansraj Jeevan Das College of Education under the aegis of RUSA. As you all are aware of the fact that sparse physical classroom engagements due to COVID-19 pandemic, we academicians have migrated to the online mode of teaching and assessment. And this faculty development program has been designed with an intent to help our fellow academicians to gather the requisite skills to be able to plan, design, and execute various assessment strategies in the blended teaching learning environment. Today, our resource person, Dr. Pallavi Talekar, with her unique expertise, shall help us to understand the construction and use of objective type questions. With her meticulousness and complete dedication, we all are sure that you all are going to have a very enriching experience with us today. Before I invite Dr. Talekar to begin with the session, I would like to request the participants that if you have any questions for the resource person, please post them in the chat box and in the WhatsApp group also. Your questions shall be addressed by the resource person towards the end of the session. Now I request our resource person of the day, Dr. Pallavi Talekar, to begin with the session. Over to you, Dr. Talekar.
Thank you, Karuna ma'am. Good morning, Anita ma'am. Good morning to all my colleagues and good morning to all the participants over here. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so give me a minute. Just a second. Just a second. So let's start with the session. Okay. Good morning once again to one and all. Today we will be dealing with construction and use of objective type questions. So we are trying to understand what are different types of objective type questions, how to frame these questions, and which are the objectives referring to Bloom's revised taxonomy will be achieved with the help of all these questions that we are going to frame. So let's begin, but before we could begin and think about the objective type questions and thinking about how to utilize it, I would like to focus on the educational reforms which have been taking place in India for years. If we think about India, in higher education system so far, they were largely, the examination system largely was based on the exam oriented, or teaching learning was largely based on examination oriented, and exam pattern, if we think, okay, we were having university examination that were at the end of the year examination, and most of the time this examination was for testing memory of the learners. So in a way, we were somewhere isolating our learners from quest of knowledge or from enjoying the discovery of learning. So somewhere this has been a concern with educationalists. Now, keeping this in mind, the few changes which have came up in the evaluation system also. So as you know, our university who has introduced credit-based system. At the same time, there's semester pattern which was introduced. There's internal marks which were introduced during examination. But then too, most of the time during these examinations, okay, we were checking how well students could recall the things. Keeping all these things in mind, UGC has came up with a committee to think about evaluation reforms in educational institutions. The committee was formed under chairmanship of Professor Salunke, who was VC of Bharati Vidyapith Pune, and they have given their own insights about how the educational evaluation system, the reforms in evaluation system could be brought in. And one important aspect on which they focused on was continuous internal assessment, which is required in our higher education level also. So let's have a look at the details which are mentioned here in this particular evaluation reforms in higher education institution report. So this report basically talks about different kind of assessments which could be done or utilized at higher education level. One of the important aspects that they have mentioned here is they said here the assessment need to be based on objective type questions, but then when objective type questions are asked, they have to measure higher mental ability of the students. At the same time, when these objective type tests are conducted, teachers, universities, colleges, teachers could use ICT effectively. So they're focused on use of modern tools for assessment here. Okay? So for setting paper, for evaluating paper, ICT should be used. Okay? That is what this particular report focuses on. Going ahead, there were different kind of examinations that they have focused on. So one of the examination that they have said is there could be quizzes, objective type test, or recognition type of questions which could be asked during examination. So this all is going to be part of practicum or internal examination. Okay. This committee has suggested different patterns, okay, or different models of practical examination, and they've given freedom to universities to choose their own model. So it could be 70-30 pattern or 60-40 pattern, and accordingly they have mentioned different kind of tests which could be conducted in the colleges. So when they're mentioning about these quizzes, objective type test, or recognition type questions, they're saying there could be MCQs, true or false, matching, classifying, or recall type of fill in the blank questions, one word or one phrase answer questions which could be asked during this examination. And of course, they have suggested frequency of this examination also. So all the details are provided in the report. So the report says these examinations, objective type test, need to be 4 in each four per semester, and there has to be 1 mark makeup and 1 surprise quiz which could be included here. At the same time, the committee mentions about end of class quiz. So at the end of each session, to find out how well students have learned, there could be quiz, there could be objective type test which could be included, which could be conducted by the teachers. Now here, few more details which are provided. So here the UGC is mentioning that the teachers need to be trained in construction of such questions, okay, or how to deal with the examination. So this is a small effort from our college to teach you all or train you all how to construct different type of questions, and at the same time how to achieve different objectives of Bloom's revised technology with taxonomy with the help of all these questions. So here they are saying there need to be balance between recognition and recall type questions, and of course when questions are asked we need to go beyond factual information, and more focus need to be on odds, that is higher order questions need to be more here. So it won't be just remembering type of questions, but higher level objectives need to be achieved when objective type questions are. Okay, this was all about higher education. I know there are few participants who are from school also. So if we think about NCF 2005, that is National Curriculum Framework 2005, it focuses on shift of content-based testing to problem solving and competency-based evaluation here. So again, instead of asking just recalling kind of questions, they are focusing on more higher level questions which could be used. At the same time, they are saying that teachers need to be trained how to frame good questions. Okay? And then they are saying when it comes to examination, it should not be only based on memory. So there need to be interpretation, problem solving, analyzing. So all these skills need to be included in the examination whenever we think about the examination pattern which we follow even in schools. Now the recent development, NEP 2020, which envisaged a shift from summative assessment to regular and formative assessment. Again, NEP 2020 has its focuses on more competency-based evaluation system, which will promote learning development, which will test higher order skills, okay, which will be analyzing, critical thinking, and conceptual clarity of the learners. And for that, they have mentioned the establishment of PARAK, that is National Assessment Center. Okay, long form of PARAK is Performance Assessment, Review, and Analysis of Knowledge for Holistic Development, which will train teachers about the assessment system, how it could be conducted. So all these developments are taking place, and slowly we are trying to change the assessment pattern that we are having here with us. So now let's move to our own topic, which is objective type questions. Okay? We all, being teachers, we know that there are different objective type questions. And as you could see here, there's some Pandora's box which you could see. So before going ahead and I tell you about the objective type questions, let's guess which are different types of different objective types question. So we are having our activity 1, wherein I want you to go on this particular website and you are going to post the objective type question, okay, the name of the objective type question on this particular link. This link is similar to Padlet, which Usha ma'am and even Archana madam has used in their session. Okay? This platform is called a Zenoid platform. So I want you to go there, take a post-it and write the objective type questions which you would like to include in your own test paper. Okay? So let's go ahead and let's do the work. I request Dr. Usha Borkar to kindly post the link of the website in the chat box.
Yeah, Dr. Talwekar, I've already posted the list. And
thank you, Usha ma'am.
Yeah.
So I'm opening that particular screen.
नहीं पड़ेगा तो सुनाई कैसे देगा तो फिर नहीं है ना या तो
Yes, you all have already started posting it. Fill in the blanks, multiple choice question. Okay, any other question that is coming in your mind, which could be called as objective type question. Very nice. odd man out, choose correct sequence, name the following, identifying object, true or false, matching, somebody has posted a question. Okay, do not post a question, post the type of question. Okay, instead of posting a specific question, post which question will fall under objective type question category. Okay. Any more responses? Yes, give an example of. Okay, somebody has mentioned a list here, multiple choice, true or false. Okay. More or less, we all are aware about these different types of questions which are there. Okay, replacing phrase with one word, yes. Okay, which is the best answer, correct. Okay, look at the picture and tick the correct option, very nice. Okay. A few more. Also give one word for and complete the given step. So let's go back. I could see most of you posting here, and you have named different type of objective type questions which would be included in the test. Okay, and my task is easy now because you all have mentioned most of the questions. Okay, so let's go back and let's focus on our presentation and try to think about various types of questions now. Okay. Usha ma'am, could you see my screen now, presentation?
You can see your screen, Dr. Tolekar.
The presentation one?
Yes, it says various objective types and the link that you have given for activity.
Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and think about all these objective type questions. So we have opened our Pandora's box and we are trying to see what are types of questions could be used here. Okay. So going ahead, whenever we think about objective type question, the first question which comes in our mind is fill in the blanks. Okay. The minute I say objective type question, you all are written about fill in the blank, matching, odd man out. So let's start with fill in the blanks. So fill in the blanks are such a question which are called as completion question also. Some of the times a statement given and you need to fill in the statement, complete the statement by writing the word there. So this is the question which is provided to the students, wherein a partial statement is given and students or the learners are required to write a word to complete that particular statement. When we are saying a particular word, that means it's going to be only one correct answer for that kind of question. Okay? So if we see example, after Alexander's death, Seculis Nicator became king of dash. So that's the fill in the blank. So there is going to be only one correct answer for it. So in this particular example, when I'm saying only one correct answer and it's name of the place, name of the country. That is based on remembering. Okay? The minute students are going to read it, they will try to recall the name of the place and they will write it. So therefore, this question is testing a student's ability of recollecting facts or recalling the things. So this statement, as we said, Bloom's revised taxonomy and which objective is achieved. So we can say here, the objective achieved could be remembering. But is that so? Let's look at the second question. So second state question is related to mathematics. And when such kind of question is provided to the students, definitely it's not related to only remembering. Here, students need to recall some principle which could be utilized here. They are going to apply that principle and find out the answer of the question. So here in this case, it's BODMAS principle which students are using. They're going to calculate orally and they will be writing the correct answer for the question, which is again going to be only one correct answer. But then in this case, as I said, applying the principle, it's going to be the objective which we are achieving through this kind of question, such kind of question is even applying. So when I'm saying fill in the blank, they are not just checking out recalling of facts or ability of recalling among the students, but we can even achieve higher level of objective, that is applying, which is here. Okay, let's go ahead and see something. Okay, there's one more question. It says Thatch was social reformer in the 19th century. But then it's mentioned that this question is wrong. Only one answer, so one fill in the blank given. But then when we look at this kind of question, there could be many social reformers in 19th century. How will students come to know which is the correct answer? So that means in this case, there are multiple answers which students could write. We as teachers, when we are framing fill in the blank questions, we need to avoid such kind of questions which will bring confusion in students' mind. Okay? So we are going to avoid these questions. So what are we going to do when we are framing questions or constructing fill in the blank questions? The first thing that we need to do here is we have to ensure that there is only one correct answer. So the question which I have mentioned earlier, okay, Thatch was a social reformer in 19th century, of course, is a very poor question, poor framing of the question, because then there is multiple correct answers for it. Though it's based on recollecting, but then too, it's not framed properly. Students may get confused, students may write different answers, and when it comes to correction of such papers, again, teachers will face difficulty. So many a times teachers keep some answer in their mind and write a question. Okay? And when we are writing such kind of question, we do not think about other answers which could be written by the students. Okay? So we need to be really very careful when we are fill in the blank type of question. The second care that we need to take care here is we have to use space judiciously. That means whenever I'm framing one question and there is a blank space for writing answer, your sentence need to make some sense even without that term, so that students will understand what is the question about. I'll give you a same example once again. If I'm saying Rajaram Mohan Roy was dash in 19th century, again, there could be multiple answers written and students will get confused. They will not get to know what is expected answer for teacher. So we have to use space here judiciously. We have to limit number of blanks per question, because when it comes to marking, there's going to be confusion. Moreover, when we are saying use space judiciously and you have more than one blank spaces or two blank spaces in your statement is not going to make sense for the students. Okay? That will be very vague statement. So therefore, you need to limit the number of blanks here in a question. Your answer need to be very brief. Okay? Do not expect student to write one full statement or 3-4 words there. So if it is principal, there are going to be only 2 words or 3 words. So you have to keep your answer very brief when you are framing fill in the blank question, and at the same time don't give clues to the correct response to the question. Look, what we do many a times, because we know the answer, when we are keeping the space for writing answer, okay, we think about the space which is required for writing the answer. So if the answer has only 3 letters in a word, you will keep lesser space. And if your answer is probably principle of gravitation, so which requires more space, so we keep space for writing answer accordingly. So that's a kind of clue that you are giving to your students. Okay? So we need to avoid providing such kind of clues to the students. Let's have a look at one more example. This could be called as completion of statement. Okay, again, a type of fill in the blank only. So the question says the statement students learn together but perform alone is example of, and there are options provided here. Again, here for writing this answer, students need to know the cooperative learning strategy. They need to know which are the different principles which are utilized there, and then they will be writing answer here. So here, when they are writing answer, they are analyzing and writing answer. So that means what we are trying to focus here is, whenever we are framing any question which is filling the blank kind of question, we are not just achieving objective of remembering, okay, which is based on just recalling the facts, but then we are trying to achieve the objective of applying and even analyzing the way we are framing the question. Okay? So let's go ahead and think about next type of objective.
9 minus 2 એની પહેલા બે નંબર પહેલા શું આવે 8 and 7 2 એટલે 7.
Miss Poonam Shah, please mute yourself.
Okay. So let's go ahead and think about a second type of objective question that could be included in our test paper, which is matching. Of course, most of you have, when you have mentioned it on the canvas, you have mentioned matching questions also. As we know, in matching questions, there are 2 columns. One column, okay, as is mentioned here, okay, which is wherein we give terms or concepts or principles, okay, which is called as premise. Okay, these are premises which are provided. And the second column are of responses. So we are providing responses. We want our students to connect or correlate one premise with correct response which is provided in the second one. Again, when we are saying correct response, that means when a teacher is preparing this kind of questions, she need to keep in mind that there need to be corresponding words used in premise and responses, so that students will able to find out and match the particular complete the question, match the following. So the example which is displayed on the screen is about types of text, and there are examples of text. Okay. So when I'm saying there are types of text which could be provided as premises, and students need to find out which is example of that type of text. Again, because they know what is particular type of text, okay, they will remember, they have already understood it, and now they are applying their knowledge of type of text and trying to find out which is the correct example here. Okay? So we can say we are able to achieve the objective applying here. But of course, when we go ahead and when we think about this kind of question, many times when we give questions to the students, we think about a person and to which place person belongs to, or we think about the scientists and the inventions of the scientists, or we think about a particular principle and the keywords from the principle. So in such cases, students are just going to recall and give you answer for this particular question. So if you are just asking place and people belong to or such kind of questions, of course you are achieving the objective of remembering. But as I said, when we are giving these kind of questions wherein students really need to think about a concept and match the example of it, of course, they are applying their knowledge. Okay, so we are not saying that with matching the columns, students are just achieving remembering, but of course, we are going ahead, we are moving ahead, and we are trying to achieve even higher level objective whenever we are providing the questions of match the column. At the same time, think about providing the situations to the students. Okay? So there could be principle given or the concept given, and there could be a situation provided for the students to match the column. Okay. The simplest example which each one of you could understand is whenever we think about fundamental rights. There are incidences wherein fundamental rights are utilized by people. Okay? So you can have situations where the fundamental rights are utilized, and in your premises you can name the fundamental rights and let student match the situation with the fundamental right, with the premise. So then even here students are analyzing and they are trying to connect with them. Okay? So we are saying, of course, we can achieve higher level objectives whenever we are thinking about question of match the column. But then whenever we are framing such kind of questions, we need to be a bit careful with respect to construction of the question. The first care that we all need to take here is whenever we are giving content, the content needs to be parallel. Okay? That means all the terms or the principles which I am providing or utilizing for this question need to be of similar style. Okay? For example, if I am a science teacher, I want to have a question on match the following, but my first premise is related to wherein I am writing name of a scientist and I want students to find out invention. My second premise, I'm writing a year and I want them to find out which important scientific event has taken place there. In third premise, again, I'm giving name of a scientist and invention. In fourth premise, I'm writing a principle, and in responses, I want students to find out where this principle could be utilized. Now, this variety of premises provided, and then students may get confused, and probably it will be easier for the students also if they are not getting confused with what is this going on. Okay, the other thing that may happen with the students is they may find it easier because you are given the name of the event and here the year, so they will find it quicker to match the columns. So therefore, whenever you are preparing a match the column question, the content that you are using need to be parallel content. It has to be clueless. Okay, so clueless means some of the times we use plurals there, or some of the times we use articles there. Okay, so with your articles, with the plurals that you are using, it becomes easier for the students to match the columns. Okay, so you need to keep that also in mind. There need to be unequal responses. If you have 4 premises, your responses need to be 5. The reason is, once students able to match first 3 premises with responses, if you have equal number of responses, it becomes easier for the students to write the 4th answer. So therefore, your responses need to be unequal so that students will start thinking, they will analyze and they will write answers. At the same time, we have to use limited premises. Don't keep match the column question too long. Don't have 10 questions or 10 premises or 12 premises. Then it becomes difficult for the students even to match. Okay? And there need to be at least one correct answer. At least there has to be one correct answer for the premise. Okay, so there need to be one response which is correct. So if there will be ambiguity with respect to responses provided, again, it's going to be difficult for the students. So if you are using an example illustration or a situation there, okay, think twice if there is no ambiguity with respect to the situation that you have mentioned, or there won't be any confusion. The situation or the example is you have mentioned is not matching or corresponding to 2 premises. So you need to take that care whenever we are thinking about matching the column question. Next question type which you have mentioned was classification. Some of you have mentioned word odd man out. Some of you have mentioned term classification. Of course, this is the question which is based on ability to identify the common features. Okay, so here we want students to find out similarities amongst the options which are provided, find out the differences also, okay, so that you will get to know which option is correct and which is wrong. Okay, and then based on this finding similarities or classifying the objects, identifying the common features, students are going to write the answer for this question. So now when I'm saying they're classifying it, okay, or they're identifying the thing, thinking over it and coming up with the answer, okay, of course here students need to understand the answer first, understand the terms first. If they will not understand, they can't go ahead. So understanding also is important here. Okay? And at the same time, students are analyzing also. Okay? So here they are analyzing and they are, based on their understanding, they're going ahead, they're analyzing because they're finding out similarities, differences, classifying the options and giving the answer. So therefore, objective which we could achieve with the help of classification or odd man out kind of question is going to be analyzing. Okay. Of course, you need to frame your question in such type. So one of the examples could be choose the word which is different from the rest. Okay, so it's potassium, silicon, zirconium, gallium, germanium. Students need to really think over it and find out which is the word which is not fitting in the particular okay. So here identifying common features becomes very important, which will help students to give a correct answer. Okay, so as we have said, it's going to be understanding as a achievement of the objective that we are achieving. At the same time, analyzing is another objective which we are achieving. But now when we are writing any objective, because for all the three questions which I have focused on, okay, may it be filling the blank or matching the column, or here we are thinking about odd man out. Many times I am focusing on more than one objective. So writing or deciding objective based on how are you framing the question. The way you frame the question, of course, the objective achieved is going to differ. So instead of putting it in this manner, I'll say as a teacher, we need to keep objective in mind, which we want to achieve through these tests. And then we are going to mention we are going to write the question based on the objective. Okay? One more thing is that whenever we think about achievement of objective, all these are cognitive processes. Okay, this cognitive process which is happening, and then we are achieving the objective. So that means simultaneously there are few things which are taking place. So I'm understanding, at the same time I'm trying to apply, then I'm analyzing the thing also. So that means we can't demarcate the objective which is achieved. So therefore, if you are achieving higher level objective, okay, so instead of mentioning your lower level objective, you write the higher level objective. Okay. For example, when I am analyzing here amongst, I'm trying to find out difference between these terms, these things which are options which are provided. I am trying to apply my knowledge and analyze. Okay, so here it could be applying and analyzing also. So I will either write it under analyzing or under applying, but because analyzing is the higher objective, you can always mention analyzing as the objective when you are writing, when you are mentioning about the question. Another example which I'll give you, which will make you easier to understand how analyzing could be achieved. Look, when it came to match the column kind of question, I have mentioned about fundamental right and the situation. Okay? So here, instead of saying choose the correct word, you can mention choose the situation which is different than other. You have to choose only one fundamental right, and write 4 situations wherein that fundamental right is used, and 1 example of of another fundamental right, situation of different fundamental right. So here students need to read the situation, understand it, they have to apply their knowledge of fundamental rights here to find out situation is related to which fundamental right they're analyzing and writing. So it could fit in applying and even analyzing here. Okay. So now it's your take. How do you want to frame your question? Okay. So based on the question you are framing, of course, you will find out different objectives could be achieved even with same content. Okay, as I've used same content for matching, same question for matching the column, and even here for the question of odd manner. So think about content and think what kind of question you want to frame with the help of that content. Okay, going ahead, the next question which falls under objective type category is sequencing. Okay, so when we are sequencing, most of the time what we think is of chronological sequence, which we could utilize in history. At the same time, even in other subjects also, if you want to write your events in a chronological order, so that could be historical event, that could be related to science, even geography. So chronological sequence could be one type of sequence. At the same time, it could be logical sequencing also. So you need to think about the sequence of the steps and write it in following the logic or the correct sequence of the event. So as I have mentioned here, it could be historical event, it could be experiment. So when we are conducting experiment, there are steps to be followed. Okay, so these steps could be given to the students so that they will write it in a sequential manner or a step-by-step manner, or it could be processes. So there are geographical processes, even there are processes which are related to construction questions in mathematics. So when we are giving any construction question in mathematics, again there is a particular process to be followed here. So I have one question here. The question is, arrange the terms in sequence of water cycle, and there are terms here. Now my question is, when we are looking at this kind of question or this particular question, which objective is achieved with the question which I have displayed here on the screen? Okay, so I want you all again to go on a link, and I want you to give your vote and we are going to check how many of you find out which is of how many of you say which objective could be achieved through this particular kind of question. Usha ma'am, again I'll request you to kindly post the link in the chat box.
Dr. Tadekar, done.
Yeah, thank you,
Link is
Usha ma'am.
already posted.
Just open it. So once you'll go on this particular website, you'll find something like this, wherein you are supposed to give your vote. I'll open another website wherein you all could see how many votes have been given. Just a second, I'm opening the screen. Yes, so the votes that you have provided. Okay. So 18% of the participants says this is the question related to like we can achieve objective of remembering with this particular question. 27% of them are saying understanding. 9% of the participants feel it's a question wherein we are achieving the objective applying, and 45% of you are saying that we are achieving objective analysis. Okay. Let's go back and just check out the answer. Okay. In case if you don't able to see the screen, please let me know so that I'll do screen share once again. So when we are looking at this kind of question, okay, look, most of you said it's analyzing, okay, and some of you feel that it's based on remembering, and even some of you feel that it's even understanding. We are achieving understanding objective here with the help of this question. But whenever we think about arranging given words in a meaningful sequence, of course, we want students or we want our learners again to think about it, to understand the events, and at the same time, they are going to analyze and prepare, put it in a particular sequence. So those who have said analyzing is correct. Of course, for analyzing, you need to remember and understand the thing, but analyzing is the objective that we are achieving with this kind of question. So let's go back and have a look at one more question, which is related to, sequencing question. This question says, throughout history, people have been trying to reach the peak of Mount Everest. Put the historical events in correct order, and there are events given. Okay. Again, because there are no years mentioned, so therefore students need to recall the year, and if they are not able to recall, even by reading it, they could analyze and they could write these events in a chronological order. Okay, so again we are saying analyzing is the objective which is fulfilled here with the help of this particular question. One more question. This is related to science. As I said, whenever we are using it, it could be even related to experiment. So this is a situation given. So in the first example that we have seen, okay, the difference is in the first example, we have seen there are terms which were used and students were supposed to arrange the terms. Another way of handling this particular type of question is you're giving the event, the details of the event, and they need to write the events in correct order. Or if it is experiment, you can convert it into a situation and give that situation to put in a sequential manner. So here it says that a student Ajay is doing an experiment of preparation of colloidal solution of gum and arrange the steps of his experiment in correct order. Okay. So what all steps Ajay has taken while doing the experiments are mentioned here. Students need to put these steps in a particular sequence so that experiment will be completed successfully. So again here, of course, they're applying the knowledge of the experiment and they're analyzing also to put the events steps in a particular manner. Okay? So here we are saying that yes, students are even analyzing. If you think bit carefully, what are we doing? Okay? Look, even it could achieve the objective of evaluating, because here you are checking, you are testing knowledge of the students. Okay? It is not these are specific details are not provided. You're converting it into the situation. So you want students, you are testing if students have understood the content properly. Okay? Could they analyze it properly? And therefore, we are going ahead and we can always say that in this particular question, even we are achieving the objective evaluating.
So can we mention theme, gratitude?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Any question?
I think Pallavi ma'am, by mistake, I have muted her.
Okay, okay.
So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Shrima ma'am. So let's go ahead and think about another type of test question that could be utilized here in objective type of test, and that particular test is of labeling. So here, whenever we are thinking about labeling question, of course, we think about science, we think about geography, we think about history, because whenever labeling comes, we think about diagram and we think about maps to be labeled. So the question usually asked in labeling is this kind of question when we are saying label the diagram. So there are arrows which are marked and students are supposed to write the label. Okay. So here, of course, students are going to recall and write the name. Okay. So of course, it's just recognition which is taking place here. Another example could be here, the map of India is given and we are saying label capital of Madhya Pradesh. So that means arrow is not provided here. Students need to recall where is the place, okay, put a point and label that particular location. Okay. So there are two types of labeling could happen, as I said. One wherein you are providing the arrows and you're asking students to label a specific point in a diagram. Another way of giving it is, instead of giving arrow, we are giving them the label, okay, or probably we are giving them a clue to find, clue related to label. So from the clue, they need to find out which is the label, point it and label the diagram. Okay, so these are the two different ways in which we can give question of labeling to the students. But here, look, whenever we think about labeling, we are saying students are identifying the point, identifying the space which is pointed out. They're trying to recall what is it and they are mentioning. Okay. So here, of course, the objective which is achieved through labeling is going to be remembering. Okay. Because it's just recalling and recognition which is taking place here whenever labeling is mentioned. Going ahead, there's one more type of question which could be considered as labeling, or which is similar type to labeling. With all these years, we are having these questions on paper, or probably when you are giving these questions in your multiple type of tests, you're giving the diagram and then you will put up words, numbers here, 1, 2, 3, and you want students to write the label, okay, as an answer. But with the use of technology, and as we have seen that UGC's 2019 report on reforms in evaluation focuses on usage of modern tools or ICT when it comes to conducting examination. So what could be done? So therefore, for labeling, there's another type or another kind of question similar to labeling, which could be framed with the help of computers, is hotspots. Okay. Hotspots are visual or image based questions. Again, similar to labeling, when we are saying visual and image based, even in labeling we are providing an image or a visual to the students and we want students to identify the space. In hotspots, again, image or visual is provided to the students, and this certain area in the image, okay, or the particular space point in the image need to be spotted by the students. So students are just going to click on a spot as an answer. Okay. So again, that's what I said. It's similar to labeling. So the two examples, of course, I have not prepared it. I have taken it from internet. One question says, locate nucleus in plant cell. Okay. So the diagram is given. Students need to just click on the correct point wherein they could see nucleus of the plant. Okay. So once they click, the answer will be marked by the computer. Okay. Another example here could be of labeling of a hotspot, but you will find a bit difference here in this question. It says which of these parts of the shuttle is expendable external tank. Okay. But then in this particular question, there are 3 locations are given, or three options are provided to the students. Students need to keep their pointer, the mouse, on a particular spot, and they have to just click that spot so that their answer will get recorded. So in the first question, the options were not provided, but in second question of hotspot, we could see there are even 3 options provided, and students need to select the correct answer here. Okay. Again, though there are this is a different way wherein students are not writing answer, just clicking or pointing out to write the answer. Okay. But then, of course, this is based on remembering. They are recalling, and they are then telling the answer to the teacher, or writing answer here during examination by clicking the mouse. Okay. So therefore, again, the objective which is achieved here with the help of labeling type of question and even hotspot type of questions is going to be remembering. Okay. Now, any question till this point? Any question from the participants, or should we go ahead? Okay. So let's. Yes, Manish.
Ma'am, one question is there that this Linoid software is free or paid software?
Okay, I'll come to that towards the end, because right now I'm focused. Yes, thank you, Manisha ma'am. I will tell this particular thing towards the end. We will focus on the content that we are dealing with right now. So any query with respect to the type of questions or which objective to be achieved, okay, if you have such query in your mind, you can ask me right now. Okay. So going ahead, the next type of objective, the questions which could be utilized for conducting objective type test is true or false. Again, I would like to know from your side that whenever we think about true or false, I have made a statement which says true or false type of questions help in achievement of only lower level objective. What do you feel about it? Okay. So Usha ma'am is posting the link on the chat box. Please go on the website and please click on the right answer according to you. Okay, what do you feel about this particular type of statement? Do you agree with this, or you don't agree with it? Usha ma'am, kindly post the link in the chat box.
Yeah, later I posted the link.
Thank you, Usha ma'am. Okay, so I'm opening the website so that you all will able to see it. Okay, I could not see people voting for it. Do you find it difficult to go on the website and yes?
Dr.
Okay.
They are voting. Some of them, they are voting. So give them some time.
Okay, okay,
Yeah, put that in the chat box.
yes. So let's check it out on there's some issue with respect to opening the particular page. So you can tell me what do you feel, which type of question, do you agree with this particular statement or not? Yes. Just check out if it could open one second. There's some issue coming up here. Okay. But then what do you feel, most of you? Do you feel it could achieve lower level objective, or it could achieve even higher level objectives also? Yes, Sabina ma'am, you want to say something? Sabina ma'am, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself.
Yes, ma'am, we can achieve the higher objective also, higher level content objective also with the true and false. Not necessary that we can only achieve the lower level, not necessary. So I don't agree with this. Thank you, ma'am.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. So, though I could not see your result of the poll, but then whenever we talk about true or false type of questions help in achievement of only lower level objective, of course, somewhere we are going wrong. Okay. So these kind of questions could also help in achievement of the higher level objective also. So let's go ahead and let's think about how could we do it, and what kind of questions do we require here? What care need to be taken when we are talking about true or false kind of questions here? Okay. So true or false questions basically are alternative response items. So instead of true or false, many times we use term agree, disagree, or yes or no, right or wrong. So these are the various terms which we are using whenever we are writing any question of this particular type. Okay, so though we are saying true or false, you can use terms agree, disagree also here. Whenever we give a statement to the students to find out if it is true or false, if it's a statement directly from the textbook the way it is, students are just going to recall and mark the question. That means in that case, we will be achieving the objective of remembering. Okay? But then if we have something like this, okay, a question, a statement we say, number of students in group can vary in different strategies of cooperative learning. Okay? So here we want students to understand what is cooperative learning. We want them to, of course, to analyze how cooperative learning strategies are given, or details of all the strategies, and we are trying to test if students have understood the concept of cooperative learning or not. So then it could be much higher, and we can say with this statement we are testing, or we are checking the knowledge of the students. We are testing how much students have understood. So here we can say even we are achieving the objective of evaluating also with true or false question. Okay. Another example which I'll give you is, whenever I say a statement that Harappan civilization is earliest known urban civilization. Okay. The statement which I've made is Harappan civilization is earliest known urban civilization. To find out or to decide if this particular statement is true or false, here students need to analyze the details of Harappan civilization. Okay? All the details of Harappan civilization, and on that basis, then they can mark it as true or false. That means when I am making this statement, somewhere I'm saying it's achieving the objective of analyzing when I am making such kind of statements. Okay, so we have seen 3 examples. In first example, we said it will be just remembering which objective is achieved. Second example in which we are saying even evaluating objective could be achieved and analyzing objective could be achieved whenever we are asking questions true or false. But then whenever as a teacher we are framing these questions of true or false, we need to be a bit careful here. Okay, so what care we need to take whenever we are constructing these questions? The first thing that all teachers need to keep in mind is the statement need to be definitely true or definitely false. If you're going to be giving them a very vague statement, they will find it difficult to mark. Okay? They will not able to judge it as true or false. Therefore, it has to be definitely true or definitely false. Whenever we are giving a very long or complex statements to the students, again, students get confused. They don't know where to focus on, which are the important terms, and therefore they are not able to judge the statements. Therefore, our statements we need to avoid keeping long and complex statements here. Okay. So one of the example here could be, look, the statement says, although it receives a lot of foreign aids annually, Israel has one of the largest military forces in the world. When I'm giving this example, the first part of the statement is not required. Ideally, my question should be, Israel has one of the largest military forces, true or false? I don't want them to guess if they are getting a lot of foreign aids annually or not. I don't want students to focus on this part of the question. Okay? So that is making my statement complex, and that is the part which is unnecessary details which I am providing in the statement. So we need to avoid providing unnecessary details here and just give a statement which is definitely true or definitely false to mark. Okay, so that students will not get confused. So if it is such a statement, so here students are going to mark on the basis of their understanding about Israel. Okay, so we are trying to focus on different objectives also. One more care that we need to take here is, whenever we are giving statement, we need to avoid using opinions. Many a time teachers have their own opinions, or teacher provides such a statement which is opinion of a historian or a scientist or an expert. Okay, so whenever we are giving true or false statement, if you are providing opinion for the students, student may be against the opinion. Okay, so he may write it as false. So therefore, avoid using opinions whenever you are giving statements to it. And your statement need to have just one idea there. Okay. For example, another example that I will give you to make it very clear how the statement need to be written. Okay. Whenever I'm making statement, conflict is sometimes an important aspect in the play. Okay, we are talking about English. So whenever we think about plays in English, we think the statement given is conflict is sometimes an important aspect in a play. The minute I use term sometime, students are very sure that this is a true statement. So in a way, I am providing clue to the students to mark the answer. So whenever we are giving any statement, we need to avoid providing even clues to the students. We want students really to analyze the statement or apply their knowledge and mark the statement as true or false. So here for true or false statements, we said objectives that could be achieved with the help of these kind of questions. Of course, based on how teacher is framing the statement, the objectives could be remembering, understanding, analyzing, and even you are testing students, so you can even check the evaluating or achieve evaluating objective here. Okay. Many times when we are giving true or false type of question, you will find teachers providing 3-4 statements, and for each statement we want students to mark it as true or false, okay, or record the answer as true or false. But then one mistake that teachers do is we follow a particular pattern of writing answer. Many times when we say, oh, first statement, my answer is true. So for the next one, I need to keep my answer as false. For the next one, again, I need to be true. So I follow a strategy or the pattern of answering which is true, false, true, false. Or some of the time we say, oh, it's going to be true, true first, and then now I need to have false questions. So avoid using such patterns there whenever you are having putting forth questions. So you have keep more than 4 questions or keep 3 questions so that the students will not able to check pattern whenever you are giving the questions which are related to marking true or false. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's think about the next type of questions which could be added in objective type question test. Okay. So here one more term that we use here or one more type of questions which we could see here are the multiple choice questions. As the term suggests, there are the multiple choices are provided for giving the answer. Even for earlier example or type of questions, some of the examples which I have given you, wherein I have given multiple choices to mark the answer. Okay, so you can keep that also in mind as example of multiple choice question. But then whenever we think about multiple choice questions, okay, one important thing which we have to keep in mind is multiple choice question is composed of 2 parts. The first part is STEM. Okay, so there is a question or a problem as you see in the image. Okay, there's a question or a problem which is called as STEM of multiple choice question, and then there's set of alternatives or possible answers. So all the options, the answers that you are providing are called as alternatives. In the alternative, there's only one correct answer, so that is called as key, or there are correct answers which are called as key, and there are other options which are wrong options which are distractors. Okay, so we are providing combination of key and distractor in set of alternatives to the students, and they have to choose correct answer here. Okay. So whenever we think about multiple choice questions, we find that there's single correct answer which has to be provided, okay, which students have to choose. So this single correct answer could be word or a sentence. Okay. So for example, when the question is the main purpose of copyright is to protect, and there are 4 statements given, students need to find out which is the correct statement. Okay, so only one correct statement is there. So here we are saying it's the single correct statement which is the answer, or it could be even words. So when you are talking about another example, okay, wherein we are talking about the sources, okay, primary sources, and you are giving a list. Okay, students need to find out which is a primary source in the given list of sources. With technology, the way the question could be put forth, as I said, it's use of technology which is also focused on it. So whenever we are saying a single correct answer kind of question, and you are using computer to prepare your question paper, you'll find you can use drop down menu or drop down list also while putting this question, while writing this question there in your online test. So you can give options and they can click at the correct option, or you can give drop down list. So once you click here, the drop down list will appear. So you need to select the correct answer, and that answer will be recorded then. So we can utilize drop down list here also. Another example of the correct words, choosing correct words here is Akbarnama is example of, so is it primary source or secondary source? Now, when we are looking at the earlier example which I have mentioned, this is based on understanding of the student. Or when I have mentioned about choose the primary source, okay, which is the primary source from given sources, again that's based on just recalling, okay, or remembering. But then when you have such kind of question wherein you are giving one example and you want students to find out the example is related to which concept or which principle, then it becomes higher level and your students are applying their knowledge and then marking the answer. Okay, so whenever you are giving example or illustration and want students to identify the principle or theory or the concept related to it, it becomes applying here. Okay, so we could achieve even remembering, understanding, and applying objective here whenever we are writing a multiple choice question, okay, wherein we are giving options to the students. Another way the answer could be taken or options could be provided to the students are we can use image as alternative. So there could be various images as utilized, and you are asking a question. From those alternatives, students have to select the correct image. Okay, so that could be one way of framing the question. Another way of using images, you can give an image and ask question on the basis of image. So if you are giving pie diagram, you can ask a question on the basis of pie diagram. So image could be used as same, or image could be used as alternative also, but then only single answer will be correct here. Okay, and again the remembering and understanding are the objectives which could be achieved here whenever we are using the image. The next type of multiple choice question, okay, again we have focused on it earlier also, but then here we are calling these questions are as negative questions. Okay? These questions are negative questions. Now why negative? So here students are directed to identify that either the alternative that is incorrect answer or alternative which is worst answer from the given options. Okay? So that means when you are saying incorrect answer, the terms or the words which are used in the statement are not except or never. So that these words, these usage of these words make our stem negative. Therefore, these questions are called as negative questions. So that means our stem is negative, and when we are providing them alternatives, there's one alternative which is not fitting into others options. So when we are saying it's what which is not the example, students need to think about the example which is not fitting in for the concept. For example, when I'm saying anxiety disorders are characterized by all these symptoms except, that means only one symptom which is mentioned here is not related to anxiety disorder. Now, whenever we are framing this question, okay, the term which I have told you not or except, or the terms which are making the same negative need to be written either in bold or capitalized or italic, so that students will come to know about this, or student will focus on the term. So when I'm writing this question, which is a negative question from my side, but I am not focusing on this word, I'm not making it bold or capital or even italic, that means the way I am putting forth the question, I'm not putting it in a correct manner. Okay, why it should be done? Many a times we think about positive questions, so we never think about the question could be negative also. So when students read the statement, they may not focus on the negative terms utilized in the statement, so they'll miss it out, and in turn they will not able to give correct answer to your question. So therefore these terms need to be highlighted specifically. Okay, now going ahead, we will have a look at another example. So the question says, which of the following is not a secondary source? So not word is again in capitalized, so that students will understand that they have to write, find out the term which is not related to secondary source. Here there are options given and students need to find out the correct answer. So whenever we think about these kind of questions, wherein we are talking about same being negative, again here the objective which we are achieving is going to be understanding. The students are going to understand and mark. If you are giving situations in this particular as options, Again, it could be analyzing because they have to apply knowledge and analyze the options provided and mark the option which is not related to it. So the questions wherein we are asking which of the following is not describing the cause of a particular thing or effect of it, which are not ingredient of or the chemical which is used in a particular experiment. Okay? All these stems are the negative stems. Okay? But then one whenever we think about this negative, should avoid, teachers should avoid providing negative stems in a question. The reason is, many a times, as I said, the negative terms which are used will be missed out by the students, or they may get confused because of it. Another way of looking at it is, whenever I'm marking the correct answer here, okay, I have marked an answer which is correct. Okay, I've got full marks for the answer, but that doesn't mean I know the correct options. Students choosing wrong answer from given list does not mean that they know all the features or all the positive aspect of correct answers for the question. So therefore, we need to avoid, but of course, I will say it's not wrong to give. You can utilize, but not many. Utilize negative questions, but not many. Okay? So while framing the questions, you need to be really careful whenever you are framing this negative questions. Okay? Another type of question which is mentioned here is rephrased as scenario. We have already seen examples of this type of question. When we have seen different types of questions, we have already used scenarios there. Okay? Because we want to convert our questions into higher level questions, we are using scenarios. Okay? So one more example of rephrasing your question as scenario could be, you're giving a scenario. So here, the scenario provided is, a month ago, all the staff members attended a workshop on open educational resources, and today you ask your colleagues how they are using open educational resources in their classes. Okay? From what they tell you to know, it seems only one has truly understood how open educational resources works. So who is it? So there are 4 people, and 4 people, how are they using open educational resources in their classroom? That is described. Now by reading it, you need to find out who is utilizing open educational resources in real sense, okay, or correctly. Okay? So that means here, whenever you are marking the answer, first thing you need to understand what are open educational resources. Okay? At the same time, the situations given. Okay? The same term is utilized, applied in a situation, so you need to analyze the thing. And when you are marking, the teacher comes to know if whatever you have learned in the topic open educational resources, have you understood it well or not? So teacher is testing the understanding about the topic, the concept of open educational resources, by providing scenario. So whenever you are providing scenarios, you are achieving objective of analyzing, and of course, if you put it in a better manner, you are achieving objective of evaluating. So here I will say we are achieving objective of evaluating, testing students' knowledge about open educational resources when I am framing this particular question here. So these kind of questions also could be utilized, are achieving higher level objectives here whenever you are using it in your test. Okay. And of course, these scenarios or rephrasing any concept, theory, principle in scenario, this could be utilized in any type of question. As I've already mentioned it, whenever you are having match the column, you can have scenario, but then whenever you are giving scenario, you need to be a bit careful. You can't write the way I have written it, the full explanation. It has to be very brief. Okay? Whenever you are providing true or false statement, it could be based on scenario. Okay? Or even whenever you are asking the negative questions, there you can utilize scenario. So scenarios could be utilized for different questions also, but of course you are achieving higher level objectives whenever we are using scenarios here for in objective test. Another type of question is ranking and sequencing, which we have already seen. Only difference here is in the earlier question, in the earlier part, when I have mentioned rank sequencing as one of the type of question, what we did is we have given the events and we wanted students to write those events in a logical manner. Okay? So options were not provided. Okay? Only 5 events or 5 things, steps, and they need to write it on their own in a logical sequential manner. But whenever we are using ranking or sequencing as a part of multiple choice question, the difference is instead of we wanting student to write it on their own, we are giving them option of different logical sequences. Students need to select which sequence is correct. Okay, so as an option, as an answer, we are already providing them sequence of the events, but of course, without understanding the question and without analyzing the event of the thing, you can't go ahead and click the answer correctly. Okay? So here in this case, when it comes to video uploading, you may have learned theory of it. Okay? So here, when you are putting it in a particular manner, here you are applying whatever you have learned in that particular topic. So this could be example of applying the objective which is achieved here could be applying. If you give scenarios here again, you can convert it to higher level objective and you can achieve even analyzing objective whenever you are giving sequencing here. Okay, I hope the 2 places wherein I have used sequencing as objective type question, it's clear with you how we will utilize it in multiple choice question and how it could be used as simple sequencing question. So let's go ahead, and there's another type of question, again fill in the blank, which I have mentioned earlier. The difference here is I'm mentioning fill in the blanks here as multiple choice question. That means here for this question, there will be multiple alternative or options are provided. Students need to choose a correct word or correct group of words which will fit in the space. Okay? Other details, the care that we need to take care of, we need to take while framing or constructing these kind of questions, we have already checked. Okay? So only difference is here the options are provided, and the earlier time when we have I have focused on fill in the blank type of questions. I have not mentioned about providing options there. Once you provide options, it becomes multiple choice of questions. Okay. Another question which is called as combined responses. This is multiple choice question, but here one or more alternatives which are provided for the same are correct, and remaining alternatives, they are the distractor. Students need to select correct answer or answers, and they have to find out which alternatives provided are mentioning that combination of correct answers. Okay, that means though it's multiple choice, okay, here you are selecting, it's not multiple answer, you are selecting only one correct answer here. Okay. Let me be very clear and give you one example here. So the question says the fluid imbalance known as edema is commonly associated with, okay, there are 4 different answers provided, but then for choosing correct answer, students need to select combination of the options provided. So probably first, second and third are the 3 things which are associated with edema. The second option says, oh, it's just allergic reaction and extensive burn. Third option says it's congestive heart failure and protein deficiency. That means there are more than one answer which is provided here itself in a stem, which are correct. So stem consists of the alternatives in the question wherein we are talking about combining with responses, and in responses we are providing them combination of answers and they need to choose the combination of answers. So here this kind of question is also called as multiple choice of questions. So because there are multiple options given here, here also there are multiple options provided for marking the answer, so it could be called as multiple choice of question, or it could be called as even complex multiple type question, because it increases the complexity of the question, and therefore we are achieving higher level objectives with this kind of question, because there's a lot of complexity and a lot of thinking process which will take place whenever students are going to choose the correct alternative. So it's not just understanding that you are achieving, here you are achieving applying and analyzing objectives also whenever you are using this kind of question. Another example which I would like to give you is, here it says choose correct statement related to oral sources. Okay, so the first statement is this literature is not available in the written form. Second says its authors are known, and third says it's preserved by oral tradition. Again, in the STEM, there are three statements, three alternatives which are provided, and when they are marking the statements, they have to choose the option which focuses on correct combination of correct answers. Okay, so it could be statement given, or it could be just number of statements given, or it could be a problem given with the alternative answers. So there are different ways of framing combined response kind of questions also for achieving higher levels objective. I hope I'm not going very fast. Next type of multiple choice question is multiple answer. So here, though there are multiple choices given, but then two or more alternatives are the correct answer. So it's not just single correct answer, but here we find that there are two or more options which are correct answers, and we want students to mark all the correct answers. Okay, so that means we need to be a bit careful here whenever we are thinking about the multiple answers. Now, as I said, with technology, whenever you are framing multiple answer type of question, the options that you get when you are framing questions on computer or using any online tool, okay, they give you term check boxes. Okay, check boxes means you can click or select more than one option here. So therefore they use term check boxes here. Whenever you are using multiple answer questions, you're using with the online tools, we are using term check boxes. Okay, let's go ahead and check out the question for this particular type of. So which of the following is the characteristic of virus? And there are four options given, but of course, more than one options are the correct answer. So here, there is no combination of responses provided, but students need to select the correct answers. So it's going to be more than one. So students need to select correct answers here whenever these kind of questions. So one more care that we can take here is, after asking question, we can mention you can choose more than one option, so that students will not end up marking only one correct answer. Okay, because some of the time students get confused, they are in hurry, they are under pressure when it comes to examination, and they don't realize that there could be more than one answers which could be marked for a particular answer. Okay, because for earlier questions that we have framed, that was single correct answer question, and here it's a different type of question. So that could be mentioned whenever we are writing or framing these kind of questions for the students. So here we are saying there's a same, and in alternatives there are 2 or 3 correct options and remaining are the distractors. So this combination of correct answers and remaining are the distractors. Students need to select the correct answer from this. Again, whenever they are doing this, they need to understand the concept or the question well, and they need to mark the answer. Okay? So when it comes to characteristic of virus, again, this question could be based on understanding of the students, because you have already taught them the characteristics and now they are understanding and then trying to find out which is the correct type. Another example, as I said, you can utilize scenarios in anywhere. So if you're using scenario like this in your question, okay, and then you're giving options to this to students, they need to read the scenario carefully, they have to apply the knowledge, and they have to mark the answer. So therefore here, whenever you are using the multiple answer questions, the objectives that could be achieved here are understanding, analyzing, and applying. So understanding, applying, and analyzing. Okay, because whenever you're applying, many a times you need to you go ahead and even you analyze the things. So therefore, again, higher level of objectives could be achieved here whenever we are thinking about the questions which are multiple answer questions. Okay. So we have thought about different types of question here, but just we'll think a bit and we will think what care need to be taken whenever we are constructing a multiple answer questions. Okay, so multiple choice question basically. It's not multiple answer. That's the mistake which I've made. It's multiple choice question. The first thing that we need to take care whenever we are constructing objective type test paper or multiple choice question is assessment of objective. So here you need to think which objective do you want to assess when you are giving a particular question to the students. So keeping the objective in mind, you are going to utilize a particular type of question and you are going to frame your question in a particular manner. So keeping in objectives in mind is really very important. You can't just write the test and then think about objective. It has to be objective, need to be thought over before. The multiple choice questions need to be free of ambiguity. So whenever we are thinking about STEM, okay, the STEM need to be very clearly presented. It has to be concise. Okay? If your STEM is very long, if you are trying to make it complex, combination of things, ideas, it will be difficult for the students to understand what you are trying to tell or what is the problem that is asked in the STEM. So therefore, they need to be free of ambiguities. And as we have already seen with respect to true or false question, again, the same applies here. Avoid including irrelevant material or irrelevant details in the question. Okay. More irrelevant material coming in the STEM, more confusion it will create. Okay. Whenever you are giving scenarios also, try to write the things which are apt for the scenario and on which you are focusing on whenever you are giving options to the students. So avoid including irrelevant material. Next thing is, whenever we are stating the same need to be positive. As I said, there are negative questions, but we need to avoid those negative questions. Some of the times you may feel that, oh, it's very interesting, we need to have a negative question so that I'll check out students correctly. Yes, you can, but then try to avoid it, because you are not judging students correctly with the help of the negative questions. So try to put your STEM always positive. Okay. Next thing is, whenever we are giving questions, we need to keep grammar of each alternative consistently. Many a times, the way we are using grammar provides clues to our students. Okay. And some of the times, wrong grammar, wrong punctuation marks creates confusion in the mind of the students also. Okay. So, for example, when I'm saying the word used to describe a noun is called an, I'm giving clue to my students. Okay. So they will able to get the answer very quickly, because I in my STEM I said it's called as an. So with the pronoun they will able to easily guess the answer. So if I want to write it correctly, I need to write it a word used to describe a noun is called and then the options. Okay. So many times we make this mistake whenever we are writing this STEM. Okay, we are giving clues to the students in a way. Okay, so we need to be really very careful whenever we are writing the stems of the multiple choice questions. Another care that we need to take here is we need to avoid using unnecessary difficult vocabulary. We may find that, oh, we are showing, we are telling them something differently, but then with those difficult vocabulary, students may not understand the same and they will end up giving wrong answers. So therefore, try to make it simple so that students will understand it, and at the same time, avoid textbook verbatism. Okay? Whenever we prepare the objective type tests, usually we copy paste statements from the textbook and put it here in the question paper. But then what happens, because it's textbook, the language which is used in the textbook or the statement which is used in the textbook, it becomes easier for the student to mark the answer. So then whenever you're using statements for the textbook, from the textbook, you are achieving only objective of recalling or remembering. Okay? You're not going ahead and you are not achieving higher level objectives, because these statements, you're copy pasting same to same statements here in the question paper. So we need to even avoid using textbook verbatism here, and special care need to be taken whenever we are scoring. Okay. For example, whenever you are thinking about scoring multiple answer question, here we are saying multiple, there could be multiple correct answers for the question. That means when I am scoring that particular question, I need to give marking for each correct answer. So if my students have written two correct answers and one wrong answer, that means I need to only keep in mind which correct answers students have given, and accordingly I'll give marks to them. Okay. So when I'm saying correct answer, students not selecting the option if the wrong answer is also a correct option. So you need to keep that also in mind whenever it comes to multiple answer questions. So there are different ways of scoring multiple answer question. One way, as I said, you need to give marks to each correct answer, or another way that is followed is, if students are not able to choose all the correct answers, that means they are losing out on the whole marks. Okay, so there are two different ways. You need to decide which one you want to go for, but then many a times providing marks for each correct answer is the way which is usually followed when we are scoring the multiple answer question. At the same time, when it comes to match the following question, okay, I'm referring to even objective type question here. So when it comes to match the following question, the same thing happens. Students may tell you only two matches that they are doing correctly, another they are doing wrongly. So you need to keep that in mind whenever you are giving the scoring. Even for sequencing, you can sequencing not as multiple choice question, but sequencing when we are talking about wherein students are writing sequence on their own. Of course, there also you need to think about scoring. So they may write first two steps correct and they can get confused in the next two steps. So then you need to give them marks for the first two steps which are written correctly, and they will lose out marks on the next two steps. Okay, so this care need to be taken with respect to framing or preparing the test, objective type test, okay, for the students. So one thing right now I feel we are very clear with is that there's a misconception which says multiple choice questions are frequently used to measure the lower level objectives, and we are very clear that no, whenever we think about multiple choice questions, the real value of these questions is applicability in measuring the higher level objectives, and we try to understand that how we could turn or utilize these different type of questions to achieve higher level objectives. So it's not just remembering and understanding that is taking place. We are even checking the higher level objectives here whenever we are using the multiple choice questions, and of course other objective type questions also. Okay. So we have, I think we have already understood that these are the different objectives which could be achieved. I have not mentioned only objective of creating here, because when it comes to creating, okay, as Usha ma'am has already explained it to you all, whenever we think about creating as an objective, you're creating something new. Okay? And when it comes to objective type questions, okay, we are not producing anything new, or we are not planning a new things or creating any new. So therefore, I have mentioned the objectives: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, and evaluating, that could be achieved through this objective type questions or objective type tests that we are doing. Okay, now going ahead. We know now the type of questions, we know now the objectives which could be achieved, but then when we are saying here in our on our platform, when we have this APP program, that how to utilize it in online and blended learning environment. One aspect, how to construct, how to implement it. But then when it comes to online platform, okay, which are the different tools which are available for it? Okay, so I want you to think a bit and enlist the tools for conducting online objective tests, again on the platform which I have provided, and which Usha ma'am has also already posted on the group. So I want you all to go ahead and post the different tools, online tools which you know, which could be utilized for conducting online objective type tests. Okay, so take 2 minutes and post all the different examples of the platforms that you know. Thank you, Usha ma'am, for posting the link.
Dr. Zarika.
So I'm opening the link once again. Okay, somebody has written about Kahoot, mentioned Kahoot here. Any other online tools or platform or apps that you know which could be utilized for conducting online tests? Wonderful. Okay, you've written Google Classroom, Google Forms. Okay, many of you have mentioned about Google Forms. Moodle, Testmos, Edmodo. You have already experienced how Testmos works. Okay, Usha ma'am has used it in her session, so you have already got an idea how that works. So it's Testmos, it's not TZ, it's TEST, Testmos. Linoit, okay, Linoit actually, if you are taking objective type test, this is the platform only for, you can utilize Linoit for taking an activity and not actually to conduct an online test. Okay, all of you are mentioning about Google Forms. Yes, Mentimeter, again, you have used it, you know how it works. Archana ma'am has used it in her session, so you know how it works. Okay, there are quizzes, hot potatoes, somebody has mentioned. any other tools that you know. Okay, somebody is again writing out quizzes. Yes. You know it, Google form.
आपका दांत चला गया तो
Any other examples from your side? Okay. So let's go ahead. I hope you all have, those who wanted to post it here, you all have posted. If anybody else would like to post, you can post it here. Just two clarifications from my side. When it comes to linoit.com, that's the website which I am using here. This is called as the canvas for writing the points. So you're posting out the things. When we are thinking about objective type test which is conducted, okay, you can't conduct a test here. What students are doing, students are just posting their point of view, or the example or the answers which they feel, but then you can't test students on this platform. You can have it as activity. Instead of calling it as a test, I will say it's a platform on which the activity could be conducted. So it's not just Linoit. Okay, there are many more free platforms. So all these platforms, all these canvases which I have used or my other colleagues have used, okay, they are free platforms. Okay, some of the platforms do have their paid versions. So Linoit is a free platform which could be utilized for conducting an activity in the classroom. Even Padlet is utilized for conducting an activity. You can't conduct a test with the help of Padlet. One more thing which I wanted to make clear here is, when it comes to quizzes, there are 2-3 of you have mentioned quizzes. This is the one. QUIZIZZ. Quizzes and Kahoot. These are the platforms for gamification. So again, you can have objective type questions, but you are having those objective type questions as games, because you will find in Kahoot is kind of is a platform wherein you can pose a question to the students, they answer you in the classroom. So that's kind of poll which you are conducting in the classroom. When it comes to quizzes, you are asking objective type questions, yes, but then there are game elements which are included in quizzes. So they get the badges, or they are provided with different memes which are coming in between. Okay? So you get to know the result also, but at the same time, with the objective type question, it's more of gamification, and students enjoy the game to revise their content. Okay? So I'll say of course, for objective type test, you can use quizzes, and Kahoot, but then it's more of a game kind of thing. Let's go ahead and think about other examples. Most of your examples are correct. So I have just written few of them. There are n number of online platforms which are available. So just have a glance at some of the platforms or the tools which we could utilize for conducting online tests for our students. Okay. We have different LMS which are learning management system. So you have Edmodo, Google Classroom or Moodle, as you all have mentioned. You have Mastersoft, you have Schoolology, and many more LMS which provide or which has inbuilt facility of conducting online tests and quizzes. Some of them are free platforms, some of them are paid platforms. Many times your institution, the elements that your institution is having, apart from this, there are many more. Even that will have a inbuilt test on objective type test conducting facility. You have mentioned most of them. So just a few examples which I thought you will come up with. When it comes to Google Form, of course, which is used for conducting online tests, but the limitation with it is when it comes to Google Form, you can't give a timing to it. And when you get the answers, you get to know each student has clicked on which answer. So which answer option is selected by each student. So when it comes to calculating the marks and getting whole Excel sheet of the marks, it becomes difficult. So therefore, in Google Form, there could be few add-ons which you can utilize, and your purpose will be served. Okay, so with Google Form, you can add an add-on Guru, which will provide you marks that the students have achieved. So the whole Excel sheet of marks you will get. At the same time, you can use add-on Timify, with which you can even time your test. Okay, so you can provide them 5 minutes tests, 10 minutes tests. Okay, so that timing could be provided with Timify. So this combination will serve your purpose. Testmos you have already experienced and you all have mentioned. Question Pro, I have used it here for the poll, but of course with Question Pro you can even prepare your objective type test paper. So it's not just poll, it could be utilized for conducting objective type tests. There's something called as Prof also, which is similar to Question Pro. This Classmaker, again for conducting the online tests. Again, some of these tools that I'm mentioning, they have two versions. One is free and one is paid version, but free version is sufficient for conducting online tests for teachers. And this Hot Potato, this is the app you can download and then you can utilize for framing questions and conducting online tests. Okay. There are few more. There are n number of tests. When you go on Google and try to search for it, you will get n number of responses and you will find out there are many more tools which are available. So you need to find out which one is suitable for you, best suitable for you. So there's freeonlinesurveys.com, again for conducting the test. There is thatquiz.org. This could be utilized only for science, geography, and mathematics. So they have their inbuilt quizzes, inbuilt questions also. So only for these three subjects. There's questbase.com. Again, you can utilize it for conducting the online test. Okay? And there are many more. Okay? So whenever we think about all these tools which are available for the teachers online, so why not to use it? And moreover, whenever we are conducting a test or preparing a test on online platform, we have few advantages. You will find out there are spell check facility which is available. Okay, then there are timers which could be added. So instead of just giving quiz, you can time it also. You can shuffle questions so that when students are giving it, you will find out it's better. So if you are conducting it, the test even in your face-to-face mode, and if you are shuffling question, okay, it will be easier for you. So in blended environment also you can use it, and online platform also. You can schedule a test, so you can prepare a test, you can schedule a time for the students to give a test. There is automatic scoring which happens. So when we are conducting tests in face-to-face manner, we need to check, enter the marks. So that doesn't happen here. Automatically, the marks are getting added in the Excel sheet. And there are few softwares which are available, which could capture the image or video of the students when they are attempting the quiz or attempting the objective type test. Of course, these softwares which I am focusing on, most of them are paid softwares, but of course, if you have a LMS and your LMS may have this kind of facility, so even in such a situation wherein we are now, you can conduct the online test wherein you are capturing image or even videos, and some of the time, some of the softwares which are there in software which can block other websites also. So then you will be fairly sure that there will be no malpractices happening when the examination is conducted. So these are the added advantages whenever we are talking about the objective type test and the online tools which could be utilized. Okay. Thank you very much. I hope it was very clear, and most of your queries are solved with the help of explanation which I have given. If there are any queries, any questions, you can post it. Over to you, Karna ma'am.
Thank you, Pallavi ma'am, for a real enriching session today. All right. Now I request my colleague, Manisha Gajre. Manisha ma'am, do we have some questions for Pallavi ma'am? Over to you, Manisha ma'am. If you have some questions, please post them to Pallavi ma'am.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Pallavi ma'am, your session was very excellent. Some ICT tools I also come to know. There are two questions posted by the participants. One is that Linoid software is a free or a paid software. They want to know. And second is the ICT tool which can be used for naming inside the picture.
Okay, Manisha ma'am, I did not get your second question. Yeah,
Somebody's mic is. Please mute yourself, participants.
Yes, muted, Karuna ma'am. I have muted all of them.
Yes, Pallavi ma'am.
Manisha ma'am, will you please tell me the second question again?
Yes, yes. Ma'am, second question is the ICT tool which can be used for naming inside the picture, inside the image.
Naming inside the image. Okay.
Inside the image.
For the first question, related to Linoid, I have already mentioned when the activity was going on that it's a free software. Any one of you can register on it and utilize it in your own classrooms. The second one related to naming inside the event, I feel the person who has mentioned this question is talking about hotspots. May I have more clarity on a question, the one who has posed it? Okay.
The ICT tool used for naming inside the picture.
Okay. If you are mentioning about hotspot, okay, it's just clicking on it, so no need of naming. But then I am not aware that any tool which could be utilized while framing, constructing a objective type test with the help of tools which I have mentioned and tools which are available, they are not providing any facility wherein you could name inside the picture. I am not aware. Probably there will be some. If you know, you can share it with me. I'll be very happy. But ideally, I don't know about it. But then, whenever you're giving question on labeling, okay, what we are doing is we are giving the numbers to the labels. Okay, so when you have a diagram and you want to label a diagram, so you are giving number 1, 2, 3, and then students need to write those answers when they are writing providing the answer, writing the answer. Okay. If I get to know any tool wherein you can label the image inside, I will post it immediately on the platform, on the WhatsApp group.
Thank you, ma'am.
There is one question which has come from Veena. It says that I was always told that distractors should not be misleading. Could you clear this up to me?
Okay. So here we are referring to multiple choice question and we are saying same and distractors are there. Okay. Yes. So many times when we try to put in the distractor, of course there is one key answer or multiple key answers about which we are very clear. But when it comes to distractors, again those distractors need to be related to same somewhere. You can't give distractors which are not at all related, they are irrelevant with respect to the question. So then students, if you are giving irrelevant distractors there, students may get confused and they will start thinking about STEM once again. So therefore these distractors again you need to think over distractor once again. Okay? Try to be very clear. And the term which I've used earlier, the distractors, again, they need to be parallel. So they need to be related to the concept which you are using even in STEM. Okay? So we are thinking about these parallel distractors. Hope I'm clear.
I have a question, madam.
Dr. Sabina. Please go ahead. Please go ahead, Dr. Sabina. Please go ahead.
Madam, regarding this technological tools which you mentioned in your session for this objective type questions, is it kind of user friendly? If we can see the tutorial, will be able to understand that? Because we have not opted for that, we have opted only for the simple Zoom. So teachers are utilizing certain tools which we have taken the trainings. But the tools which you mentioned, it's very user friendly. Teacher can utilize in the classroom within that 40-minute session in the school environment, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Yes, of course, of course. For all the tools which I have mentioned, and there are many more which are available, you will find every tool is providing you instructions how to use it. So once you go on the website, you will find the instructions there. Moreover, you will find many YouTube videos with respect to how to use that particular tool. So it's not at all difficult to use these tools. You will easily get to know all your queries will be solved when you will read instructions provided on website and when you will watch the YouTube videos also. Yes. So everything is available. So do not worry about that.
Where we will get the understanding on the, Google only, or on the booklet which I think you all have provided, in that the different applications or different tools are available for particular questions or a particular, like for example, for mathematics, we are using GeoGebra. That's a good tool for the mathematics.
Okay.
Which teachers can utilize in the middle school level and even at the secondary level. So where you get this kind of information that so and so tools are available for, like particular subject or, particular grades.
Okay. Ideally, the tools which are available online, you can utilize it for construction of objective type test in any subject, because they provide you facility to add different types of questions. So if you are opening Google Form, you can have multiple answer question, you can include image, you can have image. So even for other tools also, they provide you facility of adding image, adding videos, adding multiple answers. So I've used terms, check boxes or multiple choice questions, okay, fill in the blank kind of thing. So all these tests which are available, with the help of which you can construct tests for any of the subject that you want. Okay, but then I have mentioned that ways, and there are few more tests, okay, wherein there are inbuilt tests available. So therefore I said thatquiz.com, if you go, you will find there are inbuilt question and inbuilt tests which are available only for science, geography and mathematics. But for remaining tools, for most of the tools, you can utilize for conducting tests anytime in your classroom, when your class is going on, or towards the end of the class, or as an assignment for any subject. Okay, for any level also I'll say. So you can use it for school, you can use it even for the higher education level.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Dr. Borkar,
I think
we have one more question has come.
Yes, please, Dr. Sinha, go ahead.
May I? All right. Dr. Pallavi, one more question has come that talks about, that's from Badal Parekh. She says, my question is, will open-ended questions not be considered in analysis and evaluation category of Bloom's taxonomy? Open-ended questions not be considered in analysis and evaluation category of Bloom's taxonomy.
Okay, but open-ended questions, are you thinking about keeping open-ended questions in objective type tests?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, my question, actually, I had the whole explanation also. Okay, in case a multiple choice or a fill in the blanks, not a multiple choice, but a fill in the blanks or a true or false question has a certain amount of open-endedness. For example, you mentioned that it might have multiple correct answers. So in case it has multiple correct answers, will it not actually force the student to think that, okay, this can also be right, that can also be right, I can mention any of this? I also mentioned, I know that the student will be students all during the normal lecturing, during the normal learning process, they should be made aware of these kind of questions, and they should be told, okay, there can be certain fill in the blanks which can have multiple answers, and you can write any of them and it would be correct. They should be encouraged in so that they can actually think outside the little box that we have made for them. Like for example, we can have, especially, I mean, right now I'm not, if I just tell you that Sita is rich, therefore she is dash. Okay. So now, therefore, she is dash can be anything. It can be it can be happy, it can be sad, it can be lonely, it can be anything, and any of it would be right. So, but agreed. During the lecture, they would have to be told. They have to be conditioned to this. But then, at least this was my impression, that if we keep it like that, then it would actually increase the order of thinking of that particular, even on objective question. So, could you please help me out?
Yes, I got your question. One thing which we need to think first before framing a question is which objective do you know achieve? Okay. So first think about the objective. Next thing is, yes, multiple answers could be correct. I have already mentioned multiple answer type questions. So you can have a question like this. So if you are saying in a fill in the blank, there could be 2-3 answers which could be given. So you can give those questions. You can utilize multiple answer type of question or combination responses which are available, wherein students can utilize or student can choose more than one answer, okay, which is correct for the answer. Moreover, I'll say there is one more way or one more thing that we need to keep in mind whenever we give such kind of statement. We always think about which is the best answer. Okay, so if whenever you give a question, it is always contextual. You're giving question in a context. So in that particular context, okay, which answer is the best answer? So the example that you have given, Sita is rich and something, but then you are giving a context. You need to give a context there. So in that particular context, how will she be? So you are choosing the best answer. You want your students to choose the best answer. If you want your students to choose multiple answers, you can go ahead and you can go for multiple answer kind of question also. Okay? But then don't get confused while framing a question. You need to think about objective first when you are framing a question.
Yes,
Hope
yes,
I am clear.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, I have another question for you. I noticed in one of your questions, you had given options 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it was the ranking. I'm not very sure. There was one last option which said all of the above. So instead of all of the above, you've given 1, 2, 3, 4. I was always told when framing the question papers that all of the above and none of the above should not be used, because children, they are having a partial knowledge and they tend to not look at the other options and generally choose. What do you think about that, ma'am?
Yes, that's very correct. I think I missed out that when I was telling about construction, the care need to be taken while constructing the question. Okay, most of the time we say all of the above, none of the above, don't use it, because then you are not judging students' knowledge correctly. Okay, so therefore we try to avoid these words. I have intentionally put that in one of the questions so that I'm able to link it when I am giving you the guidelines or when I'm talking about how to construct a question, but I think I missed out on that. So sorry for missing out the question, and thank you for pointing out the thing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other question? Do we have any other question? Usha ma'am, Dr. Borkar? Any question from your end, which is there in the WhatsApp group? Any question has been posted there?
Yeah, first and foremost, I would, congratulate Dr. Taraikar. It was a superb session, and you beautifully linked it to the Bloom's taxonomy. So I'm sure now the participants are all geared up to identify which questions, which type of questions should be utilized to check the achievement of the objectives as specified in the Bloom's taxonomy. So that was wonderful. All the questions, Dr. Sinha, have been put in the chat box only. So there are no questions for the WhatsApp, but of course there are a lot of requests from the participants to share with respect to the online tools that can be utilized for preparing objective type of tests. So I'm sure Dr. Taraikar will take care of it after the session is over. So Dr. Sinha, there are no questions on the WhatsApp group. Dr. Taraikar, there are no questions there. All the questions were on the Zoom chat box and they have been answered by you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Borkar. So we have come to the end of a very, very, very enriching session. A beautiful session conducted by Dr. Pallavi Talekar, and she started, if I recollect correctly, it was started very beautifully by providing a brief background of what kind of evaluation system is existing right now. All right, and then what kind of evaluation reforms are coming up continuously, have been suggested by the UGC panels committee. And then if we look at the current now NEP 2020, what kind of suggestions they have given for making changes, bringing changes in our evaluation system, what kind of shift is expected from the teachers to bring in the evaluation system, shifting from summative to the formative assessment, and what kind of questions need to be there when we talk about real assessment, real evaluation. And yes, you started very beautifully with an activity, and you came to the topic of your objective type questions. Dr. Pallavi Talekar, as beautifully said by Dr. Borkar, that yes, it was definitely a beautiful session where you touched upon the different objective type of questions with the relevant examples, and then you related them with the Bloom's taxonomy, how each and every objective mentioned in the Bloom's taxonomy can be achieved through the different kinds of objective type of questions. I'm sure that our participants today are going to leave with lots of takeaways from your session. All right, and takeaways which they are definitely going to use very effectively in their day-to-day evaluation procedures in their respective colleges. Thank you so much for a beautiful session, Pallavi Talekar. A heartfelt thank you coming from each one of us. Thank you so much. All right, so before we finally wind up and say goodbye for today's session, one announcement for all the participants is that this feedback link is going to be posted in the WhatsApp group immediately after this session. You all are requested to please fill up the feedback form, which is very, very, very important for getting your e-certificates. All right, so don't forget to fill up the feedback form, and the link of the feedback form is going to be open till 8 p.m. So don't wait for the faculty of HJC to remind you for filling up the feedback form. All right, so we call it a day. Then we say goodbye. Goodbye from each member of the HJC family till the time we meet again. Please do take good care of yourself. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all the best. And wishing all good luck to all the participants. Thank you so much. And we end the meeting session today. May I request the host, Dr. Shrima Banerjee, to end the meeting.
Sure, Karuna ma'am. I'm ending the meeting. Thank you so much, and congratulations, Pallavi.